Aaron's small scout ship screamed through clouds the color of old copper and slammed into a sea of green. Branches shattered against the hull. Sparks flew across the cockpit window like fireflies in a storm. The ship finally clipped a massive trunk and spun hard, tossing Aaron against his restraints. An instant later, the craft slid down a tangle of vines and came to rest at the foot of a colossal tree. Smoke curled from cracked panels, and silence fell over the jungle world. His ears rang, but Aaron forced himself to breathe slow and count. 5 seconds, 10, the emergency lights flickered. He released the harness and dropped to the tilted floor. One quick scan showed the main controls were dead. A ragged hole in the sidewall let warm, humid air flow inside, carrying the thick scent of wild flowers and damp soil. He grabbed his survival pouch knife, mini flare, and water tablet strips, then crawled through the gap. Outside, a living wall of vines and huge leaves blocked the sun so well that only soft green light reached the ground. Giant roots arched like stone bridges. Heavy drops drummed onto the earth, but no rain fell. It was dew shaking free from high branches. Aaron swallowed. The beacon's antenna had snapped clean off, so rescue ships would never hear him unless he found open sky. He decided on 3 tasks: find water, make a shelter before night, and light a signal fire. A narrow path of broken foliage showed where the ship had carved through the canopy. He followed it toward a sloping gully, careful to mark his trail, with short cuts on bright yellow leaves. Every sound felt too loud, the crunch of twigs under his boots, the steady thump of his heart. Somewhere above, a long, flute-like note drifted through the air. It was not birdsong. It rose and fell in a pattern, almost like someone calling an answer to itself. He reached a clear pool bordered by stones and dipped a sample stick. The tester glowed green, safe to drink once boiled. He filled a small metal cup and set it on. Heated rocks, using sparks from his striker to ignite a handful of dry moss. Tiny flames licked upward. While the water warmed, Aaron studied the forest. Thick ropes of lianas hung down, perfect for climbing if he needed a high perch. Some leaves shone silver on one side, may be useful as signal mirrors. He snapped a few and tucked them into his belt. A rustle made him freeze. Across the pool, a low bush quivered, though no wind blew. Aaron lifted his knife, scanning for eyes between the leaves. Nothing moved, yet he sensed he was not alone. The boiling cup hissed behind him, and in that instant of distraction, a splash broke the surface. He spun back with weapon ready. Only ripples showed, widening to the edges. Whatever touched the water was gone already. When the cup cooled, he drank and filled his canister. The first goal met, he turned to find a campsite. Not far away, he found a natural alcove where 2 buttress roots formed a tent-shaped space. He cleared dry debris, set stones for a fire ring, and wove fresh fronds into a mat. Each motion was steady and simple. Fear shrank when hands were busy. By dusk, the small fire crackled, giving off gentle smoke that drifted through the gap in the leaves. Night noises replaced day songs. Insects buzzed like tiny power saws. Somewhere deep, a creature barked 3 times, low and rough. Aaron set his snare line across the entrance and tested a stick alarm tied to an empty ration can. If anything crossed, it would rattle. He warmed another cup of water for broth and allowed himself a short rest against the root wall. His eyelids felt heavy after the crash, but he forced them open. Survival meant staying alert until sunrise. A soft thud sounded above. When he looked up, the branches swayed, though the air was still. Moonlight pale and cold filtered down, just enough to outline a slender figure crouched on a limb. She was no animal. The shape was too upright, arms balanced gracefully, head crowned by flowing hair that shimmered like dusk itself. Blue skin, or was it trick of light? Aaron's breath stuck in his throat. The figure placed something against the trunk, a cluster of round fruit glowing faintly from within, and then leaped away without a sound. Aaron stood, stunned, as the leaves settled. He reached up and tugged the vine she had used. It was smooth, braided into a ladder. The gift lay glowing on the ground, casting gentle blue halos across his campsite. He picked one fruit, felt warmth pulsing through its thin rind. It smelled sweet, like honey mixed with fresh rain. Whoever she was had left him food. The flute-like call returned, softer now, drifting farther into the dark canopy. Aaron stared after it, heart pounding not with fear but wonder. Alone on a wild planet, he had already met a stranger who watched from the trees and helped without words. Tomorrow, he promised himself, he would follow the trail and learn why. For now he banked the fire, placed 2 of the glowing fruits beside his pillow of leaves, and lay down listening to the jungle breathe. Above, unseen eyes surely watched him still, but the thought no longer scared him. It filled him with a strange hope. Aaron woke before dawn, the thick jungle still wrapped in shadows. The soft light filtered through the giant leaves above, casting green patterns on his simple shelter. His body ached from the crash and the long night, but his mind buzzed with a single thought, the mysterious stranger, who had left him glowing fruit by his side. He ate one of the strange fruits. It was sweet and warm, filling his stomach with a comfort he hadn't felt in days. Carefully, he packed his small bag and tested his knife's sharpness against a branch. Today, he decided he would follow the calls he had heard, the strange flute-like music from the trees. If the figure was real, maybe she would lead him somewhere safe. Aaron moved quietly through the dense undergrowth. The jungle was alive, with sound, insects chirping, distant calls of animals, and the soft rustle of leaves. Every step was careful, marking his way with small broken branches so he wouldn't get lost. The air was thick and heavy, warm with the smell of wet earth and flowers. After walking for an hour, the flute-like sound floated again, clear and bright. Aaron paused, looking up. High above, in the tangled canopy, he saw a flash of movement. A silhouette, slender and graceful, jumping between the branches. His heart beat faster. This was no ordinary animal, he called out softly. Hello, I'm Aaron. I'm not here to hurt you. The jungle swallowed his words almost at once, but the figure paused and turned. Aaron could see her face now, delicate, with smooth blue skin and large eyes that shone like stars. Her hair was long and dark, flowing down her back. She watched him silently, her eyes full of curiosity and caution. Slowly, she stepped closer, balancing on a thick branch just above his head. Aaron raised his hands to show he meant no harm. The alien woman, who he would later learn was called Nari, looked down at him with quiet intelligence. She did not speak, but her eyes seemed to say, "Why are you here?" Aaron pointed to his broken ship hidden behind the trees and then to himself. "I crashed. I need help." He reached into his bag and pulled out one of the glowing fruits, holding it out like a gift. Nairi's eyes widened, and after a moment of hesitation, she reached out and took the fruit gently. Then, without warning, she leapt away, swinging from vine to vine with incredible speed and grace. Aaron watched, amazed by her skill. She disappeared into the dense green maze above, determined to learn more. Aaron began to climb a nearby tree, using the vines and roots as steps. His hands and feet found holds, and he moved upward carefully. The higher he went, the cooler the air became, and the jungle stretched out below him like a vast sea of green. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the trees, a warning. Aaron froze. Somewhere nearby, a large beast was moving. He knew he could not outrun it on the ground. He climbed faster, his breath short but steady. Nairi's voice, soft and melodic, echoed somewhere above him, guiding him. He followed the sound, deeper. Into the canopy. At last, he reached a large branch that was part of an enormous tree, wide enough to hold a small village. There, hidden among the leaves and vines, were wooden huts woven from living branches. Lights flickered inside, and strange shapes moved quietly. Nari appeared again, standing at the edge of a platform. This time, she gestured for Aaron to come. Closer, he stepped onto the platform slowly, unsure what to expect. The air smelled sweet and fresh, and the sounds of the jungle were softer here. Protected by the thick leaves, Nari led him inside one of the huts where other blue-skinned aliens waited. Their eyes studied him carefully, but they did not speak his language. Instead, they showed kindness with gentle smiles and slow movements. One elder woman touched Aaron's arm and nodded, understanding his need for help, the tribe's leader. An older alien with silver hair and bright eyes approached Aaron. Through gestures and drawings in the dirt, he learned that the jungle was called Yalara, a sacred place protected by Nairi's people for generations. Outsiders were rare and often dangerous. Suddenly, alarms rang out from the far side of the forest. The elders' faces grew serious. Aaron heard mechanical sounds, the harsh clank of metal machines moving through the trees. Nari looked toward the noise, fear flashing in her eyes. Aaron asked, "What is that?" The elder pointed to the sky, where dark shapes moved like vultures. "Hunters, they come to take our home." Aaron's mind raced. The same salvage crew who abandoned him might be here, threatening this peaceful tribe in the jungle he had just begun to understand. His mission changed. It was no longer just survival. He had to protect Nairi's people and the forest that had saved him that night as the trib. He gathered around fires woven into giant roots. Aaron and Nari sat side by side. They still did not speak the same language, but their eyes shared a promise to fight together. The jungle whispered around them, full of unknown dangers and hidden wonders. Aaron felt a deep connection growing, not just to the alien beauty who had saved his life, but to the wild world they now shared. Arin woke to the sound of heavy rain drumming on the broad leaves above. The storm had come fast, turning the jungle into a wild place of wind and water. But inside the woven hut, it was quiet and safe. Nyari sat nearby, her calm blue eyes watching the rain slide down the tree trunks. The air smelled fresh, but thick with earth and wet wood. Aaron pulled his simple cloak tighter around his shoulders and looked at Nari. Even though they could not speak the same language, a silent understanding had formed between them. She was no longer just a stranger, she was his guide and protector. In this strange world, suddenly the ground shook with a deep roar. Aaron's heart jumped. Through the hut's open entrance, he saw the flash of lightning and heard the fierce cries of a huge animal. A thunder lizard, a giant predator of the jungle, was nearby. Nairi's body tensed. Without hesitation, she grabbed Aaron's arm and pulled him outside. The rain lashed at them, but she moved with quick strength, leading him through twisting roots and fallen logs toward a huge hollow tree. The thunder lizard's roar grew louder, echoing between the trees. Aaron's breath was fast as they reached the base of the giant trunk. Nyari climbed up the smooth bark like it was nothing, then reached down a woven vine ladder to pull Aaron up. His muscles burned, but he grabbed the rungs and climbed after her. Inside the tree, the air was warm and dry. The hollow was large enough to hide dozens of people. Nairi's tribe had made it their refuge, safe from jungle dangers. Aaron felt relief wash over him as they settled in the shadows. Outside, the rain hammered the forest and the distant roars faded. Aaron and Nari sat close, sharing the warmth of the shelter. The glowing fruits from before lay between them, still softly lit like stars in the dark. Aaron tried to speak, pointing at the storm, then at the tree. Nyari nodded, understanding the danger outside. She reached into a pouch and pulled out a thick, sticky sap. She smeared it on a broken branch, and the dark resin soon hardened like glue. With careful hands, Aaron helped her shape the sap into small balls, sticky and strong. Together they prepared simple traps, lashing the sap onto vines and sharp sticks, ready to catch any creature that might come near. The storm slowed, and when dawn came, the jungle was alive with wet sounds, birds calling, leaves dripping and distant rushing water. The air smelled clean, and the sun peeked through heavy clouds. Nyar led Aaron out of the tree and deeper into the canopy. This part of the jungle was different, quiet and peaceful, with giant trees towering high and strange plants glowing faintly. Aaron's eyes widened as he saw how the tribe had built homes in the branches. Connected by woven bridges and swinging ropes, they reached a large clearing, where elders sat around a fire made from stones and moss. Nari gestured for Aaron to join. The elders looked at him with cautious eyes, but they welcomed him with slow nods. Aaron pointed to the sky, showing the shape of a ship and then a circle for the forest. The elders understood his warning. They whispered among themselves about the machines and the threat they brought. Suddenly, A sharp noise cut through the calm, the sound of metal claws scraping against wood. The tribe tensed. Nairi's eyes narrowed as she pointed toward the edge of the clearing, through the thick leaves. Aaron saw strange flying machines, drones, moving silently among the trees. Their cold lights scanned the branches, searching for something valuable. Arin recognized them. These were the salvage crews who had abandoned him. They came to hunt the jungle's rare crystals, destroying everything in their path. The tribe's leader stood, raising a hand for silence. He spoke in soft tones, explaining how the drones had returned many times before, bringing destruction and fear. Aaron felt anger rise inside him. This jungle, this tribe, had saved his life. Now he could not let them lose their home to greedy invaders. He showed the elders how to use the sticky sap in traps. He taught them how to weave vines into simple alarms that rattled and warned of danger. Together they planned to fight the machines with the forest's own weapons. Night fell quickly, wrapping the canopy in shadows. The tribe gathered to prepare. Fires burned low, and guards took positions high in the trees. Suddenly a drone swooped. Close, its metal body glinting under the moonlight. Nairi moved like a flash, throwing a sticky sap ball that caught the machine's sensor. The drone shuddered, then crashed into the branches below. Cheers rose from the tribe. But Aaron knew this was only the beginning. The main ship would come. It would bring lights brighter than the moon and weapons stronger than the forest. As the tribe waited in silence, Aaron and Nairi sat side by side, watching the dark sky. The battle to save the jungle was about to begin. And Aaron was ready to stand with his new friends, a human among the trees, fighting to protect a home not his own, but dear to his heart. The morning sun filtered softly through the thick jungle canopy, casting gentle patches of light on the living village nestled high among the giant trees. Aaron stood on a wide branch, looking out over the forest. The air was filled with the scent of wet leaves and fresh growth. Around him, the blue-skinned tribe moved quietly, preparing for the day ahead. Though the jungle seemed peaceful, a heavy tension hung in the air. Nyari appeared beside him, her eyes bright but serious. She pointed toward the distant horizon, where a low hum grew louder by the minute. Aaron's heart quickened. The sound was mechanical. A heavy ship was approaching. The tribe's elders gathered quickly, their faces grave. Aaron knew they feared the machines. They told stories of past attacks when the salvage crews had destroyed parts of the forest, searching for rare crystals. The tribe had survived by hiding and fighting small battles, but this time, the enemy was stronger and better armed. Aaron looked at Nairi. "We have to stop them," he said simply. She nodded, then turned and led him through the village. Along the twisting wooden walkways, Aaron saw families packing supplies and preparing weapons made from sharpened branches and hardened sap. Children watched silently from behind woven walls. Nairi stopped at a large tree trunk that served as the tribe's meeting hall. Inside, the elders spread maps drawn on bark. Aaron studied the lines and symbols, slowly understanding the forest's layout, the paths, the high towers, and the crystal-rich caves the machines sought. He pointed to a cluster of circles and lines. Traps here, alarms here. Stop drones. Before they reached village, the elders listened carefully. With Aaron's help, they began setting more trap spring-loaded vines and sticky sap bombs placed in key locations. Aaron used parts from his broken ship to create simple mirrors that reflected sunlight into the forest, hoping to blind the enemy's sensors. As the sun climbed, a shadow fell over the trees. The salvage ship had arrived. It was large and silver, with sharp edges that caught the light. Drones swarmed beneath it like angry bees, searching for crystals and signs of life. The ship's engines hummed powerfully, pushing warm air down through the leaves. Aaron's breath caught. This was the moment the tribe had feared. The drones began their sweep, shining cold lights through the branches. The tribe watched from hiding places, ready to strike. Suddenly, a vine snapped. A drone's sensor flashed red. It had triggered a trap. Sticky sap balls flew from the trees, catching its wings and blinding its cameras. The drone crashed hard into a trunk, sparks flying as it fell silent. A cheer rose from the hidden watchers. more traps triggered. Aaron moved quickly, throwing sap bombs with careful aim. The sticky glue caught machines by their legs and wings, slowing their advance. The tribe's warriors leapt from tree to tree, using boughs made from flexible wood to shoot vines and sharpened sticks, but the ship began to lower itself closer to the canopy. Its bright spotlights cut through the jungle like knives, making hiding impossible. The sound of heavy boots hitting wood echoed through the trees as soldiers poured out, carrying strange weapons that hummed with power. Aaron and Nari exchanged worried glances. The fight was about to become harder. Nari grabbed Aaron's hand and pulled him toward a thick branch leading higher into the jungle. They climbed swiftly, following a narrow path that twisted around massive trunks and giant leaves at the top. The air was cooler and clearer. Aaron could see the whole village. Stretched out below, tiny huts balanced on branches. The salvage soldiers were spreading out, searching for crystals and traps. "We must stop the ship," Aaron said. Nyari pointed to a cluster of metal rods nearby. Aaron recognized them surge protectors and lightning rods from his ship's damaged systems. A sudden flash lit the sky. Thunder rolled as dark clouds gathered quickly above the jungle. The storm was coming. Aaron's mind raced. If he could connect the rods to the highest branches, the coming lightning might strike the ship's systems and stop the attackers. Nari understood instantly. Together they worked fast, climbing and tying rods with vines and sap. The wind whipped around them and rain began to fall, cold and sharp, below. The salvage ship's spotlight swept across the trees, catching movement. Soldiers shouted orders, but their voices were drowned by thunder. A brilliant bolt of lightning cracked through the sky, striking one of the rods. Electricity surged down the vines like a river, flowing toward the salvage ship. Sparks flew from the ship's engines. The great vessel shuddered violently, metal groaning under the shock. Alarms blared inside the hull. The ship rocked, tilting sharply. Aaron held on tightly as the branch beneath him shook. The ship began to fall toward the jungle, smoke pouring from its sides. Nyari reached for Aaron just in time, grabbing his arm and pulling him back from the edge. Together they watched the salvage ship crash through the canopy, smashing trees and sending splinters flying. The jungle was silent again, save for the sound of rain and distant calls of animals. Nari turned to Aaron, a smile breaking across her face. "We saved the jungle," he said, still catching his breath. "But the fight is not over," she replied, her eyes shining with determination. Aaron nodded, feeling a deep bond growing between them. The jungle had tested him, pushed him to his limits. But it had also given him something precious: trust, friendship, and a new home among the trees. As the rain eased and the sun began to peek through the clouds, Aaron and Nari stood together, ready for whatever the jungle would bring next. The jungle was quiet after the crash. Smoke curled slowly from the broken salvage ship tangled in the giant trees. Aaron and Nari stood at the edge of the village, watching the sky lighten with dawn. The battle had been won, but the damage was clear. The forest had been scarred, and the threat was not fully gone. Nari looked to Aaron with deep worry. "Hunters will return," she said softly in her own language, but Aaron understood the meaning. The salvage crews were dangerous and greedy. They would not give up so easily. Aaron felt a strong sense of duty rise inside him. This jungle, and the tribe who had saved his life, needed protection. He was a stranger here, but now he was part of something bigger: a family, a home. The elders gathered to discuss what to do next. Their voices were calm but serious. They showed Aaron hidden paths and secret places deep in the forest, places where the rare crystals grew in shining caves. These were the true prize for the hunters. Aaron studied the maps carefully. If the hunters found these caves, they could destroy the jungle forever. He knew he had to act fast. He suggested a plan to the elders, using parts from his broken ship and the tribe's knowledge of the forest. Together, they would create traps and alarms that could stop the machines before they reached the caves. Aaron worked with Nari to build more than just traps. He showed the tribe how to use metal pieces to make simple devices that could send signals through the jungle, warning of danger far ahead. Nairi's people were quick learners, and soon they had a network of watchers ready to protect their home. One morning, as the sun rose golden through the leaves, Aaron and Nairi climbed to a high branch overlooking the jungle floor. From this perch, they could see far across the forest, watching for signs of the hunters. Suddenly, Nairi pointed excitedly. In the distance, a line of machines moved slowly through the trees, drones searching for crystals. The tribe's warriors sprang into action. Aaron and Nairi led them, using their traps to block the machine's path. Sticky sap balls flew through the air, catching the drones and pulling them down. Vines lashed out like snakes, wrapping tightly around metal legs, but the machines were many and their weapons dangerous. The battle was fierce, echoing through the forest. Aaron saw a drone aim its weapon at Nairi. Without thinking, he threw himself in front of her, taking the blast on his arm. Pain seared through him, but he did not fall. Nairi caught him as he stumbled, her eyes wide with shock. "Aaron!" she cried. He smiled weakly. "I'm okay. We must keep fighting." The tribe's courage did not falter. Together, human and alien, they pushed back the machines. The drones began to retreat, and the hunter's ship roared in the distance. Ready to leave as the last machine fell, the jungle grew still once more. That evening, around the fire, Aaron and Nairi sat close. Aaron's arm was bandaged with leaves and sap, healing slowly. Nairi reached out and gently touched his hand. No words were needed. Their bond was stronger than ever. Aaron looked at the stars shining through the canopy. He knew his rescue was coming soon, but he no longer wanted to leave this place. He had found something precious, a home among the trees and a friend who had become family. The jungle whispered around them, full of life and promise, and Aaron was ready to protect it. No matter the cost, the jungle night was alive with sounds, soft chirps, rustling leaves, and distant calls of unseen creatures. Aaron lay on a bed of woven leaves inside a large tree hut, his arm still healing but pain fading slowly. Outside, the air was cool and fresh, a gentle breeze moving through the canopy above. Nairi sat nearby, watching him with quiet care. Though they spoke little in words, their bond grew stronger with each passing day. Aaron had learned much from her, the ways of the jungle, how to move silently, where to find food, and how to listen to the whispers of the forest. Suddenly a sharp crack broke the calm. Both Aaron and Nairi froze. From the shadows at the edge of the village, strange figures appeared, humans, but not the friendly kind. Armed and moving quickly, they carried strange devices that glowed and hummed. The salvage hunters had returned, stronger and more determined than before. The tribe stirred quickly. Warriors readying their weapons made from sharpened branches and sap traps. Nairi took Aaron's hand, pulling him up. "We must protect our home," she said, her voice steady. Aaron nodded, feeling a surge of courage. This was no longer just about survival, it was about defending a place that had become sacred to him. Together, they moved through the village, warning others and setting traps in careful places. Aaron showed the tribe how to hide in the shadows and strike quickly. The hunters advanced, unaware of the dangers waiting for them. The first battle was fierce. Sap bombs exploded, sticky and blinding, catching the hunters by surprise. Vines whipped out like snakes, pulling weapons from hands and tripping feet. The tribe fought with fierce determination, using the jungle itself as their ally, but the hunters had machines, metal, beasts that could fire powerful blasts and scan the forest for life. The fight moved from the village to the treetops, where Aaron and Nairi led the defense. Lightning cracked across the dark sky as a storm rolled in, adding chaos to the battle. Aaron climbed a tall tree and set up surge rods made from broken ship parts. When the next lightning bolt struck, electricity surged through the rods and down into the hunters' machines. Sparks flew, and metal groaned as the machines shut down one by one. The hunters faltered, confusion spreading among them. Nairi darted through the branches, distracting guards with swift moves and sharp cries. Aaron followed, throwing sap balls that stuck and slowed the enemy. Finally, the hunters retreated, their machines silent and broken. The tribe cheered, but Aaron knew this was not the end. The jungle had won this battle. But the war was far from over. As dawn broke, Aaron and Nyari stood side by side on a high branch, looking out over the forest. The green sea stretched endlessly before them, full of life and secrets. Aaron's heart was full. He had come to this strange world a stranger, lost and alone. Now, he was a protector, a friend, and a part of something greater. Inui smiled, her eyes shining like the stars above. Together, she said softly, the jungle was calm in the early morning light. The air smelled of fresh leaves and wet earth. Aaron stood at the edge of the village, looking out over the endless sea of green trees. His arm had healed well, and his body was strong again. But more than that, his heart felt full. Nari came beside him, her blue skin glowing softly in the gentle sun. She smiled at him, and for a moment they simply watched the forest together. The bond between them was deep, built on trust, courage, and many shared struggles. Aaron's thoughts drifted to the small beacon he had fixed from parts of his broken ship. It was ready to send a signal into space, a call for rescue. But as he looked around at the tribe, the village, and the jungle that had saved him, he felt a strange conflict inside. He turned to Nyari. "My people will come for me," he said quietly. "But this is my home now." Nyari reached out and took his hand. She understood without words. The jungle was her home too, and now Aaron was part of it. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the air. The beacon was sending its signal, a bright light blinking steadily into the sky. The tribe gathered around, watching the sky as the signal pulsed upward. The hunters were gone for now, but rescue might bring new challenges. Aaron knelt and placed a hand on the earth. "I will protect this place," he promised. "With your help, the jungle will be safe." Nari smiled and nodded. The tribe cheered softly, their voices blending with the sounds of the jungle. Days passed. Aaron taught the tribe new ways to defend their home, using both human tools and the forest's gifts. They became stronger together, a family united by hope and courage. One evening, as the sun set in fiery colors, Aaron and Nari sat on a high branch, looking out at the stars beginning to shine. "Will you stay?" Nari asked, her voice soft. Aaron smiled. "I will stay," he said. "This is where I belong." The jungle whispered around them, alive and full of promise. And beneath the vast, endless sky, a human and an alien stood together, guardians of a wild and beautiful world.